Hello and welcome into another episode of Locked On Wolves. This is the postgame podcast from another crushing Timberwolves loss to a bad team at home. Stop me if you've heard this before. We'll talk about what happened in the loss to the Pelicans on Wednesday night. It's all coming. Welcome in. You are Locked On Wolves.
You are Locked On Timberwolves, your daily Minnesota Timberwolves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Wolves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Ben Beecken. I'm the host of Locked On Wolves. Today's episode is brought to us by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Thursday, everybody. Really a not so happy Thursday after a Wolves lost to the Pelicans on Wednesday night. That was beyond frustrating. They lost to another bad team. They lost again at home. They lost 2 straight after winning 8 straight. They lost game 3, and they're now 1-2 on a 5-game homestand, a gift of a schedule. And in this time around, they actually did it a little bit differently. Like I please listen to the whole podcast, but I could give this podcast to you right now in 5 seconds. They just missed a ton of open shots down the stretch. There's obviously a lot that led up to that made this thing closer than it should have been. But the execution down the stretch, not simply from an offensive flow and getting good shots, but just making open shots. That's really what happened in this one. But there's still a lot to dig into. I have a couple rotation thoughts as well. Really one main one. So a lot to get to today. Big thank you off the top for making Locked On Wolves your first listen every single day. Of course, this show is free and available everywhere. That includes YouTube, as well as all of your favorite audio platforms. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find the Locked On Wolves podcast there. You can also watch on the Locked On Sports Minnesota app on both Roku and Amazon Fire TV. And a reminder, you can also subscribe to the daily newsletter at lockedondaily.com. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. Okay, where to start here? So, setting this up, the Pelicans, of course, have a bunch of guys out for the season, but given the team they have now, they're relatively healthy. They just lost Trey Murphy III, which is obviously a huge blow. There's various other guys they've been without, Herb Jones, for instance, but they still had Zion Williamson. They still had CJ McCollum, who, despite not having a good shooting year, is still CJ McCollum. Still have Alvarado. They've still got Misi, who played well against the Wolves last time as well. Kelly Olynyk has played well since being traded there. There's not much of a bench there, right? But the starters are not horrendous. And in fact, I really don't know why their record is so bad. I know, obviously, guys being banged up, especially early in the season, Zion. But I haven't watched a whole lot of Pelicans other than when they played the Wolves. I don't know why they're this bad. All that to say, this is a game the Wolves obviously should not have lost. We talked about the matchup on Wednesday's show, and this is a matchup the Wolves should have done well in. And instead, they found themselves, they were up 6 at the end of the first quarter. They had a double-digit lead in the second quarter, and things just kind of flipped midway through the second quarter. It was weird. That's when the Wolves had their biggest lead. They led, they led 38-26 with 10:20 left in the second quarter. They were up by a dozen points. And then all of a sudden, the lead starts to kind of dwindle. It gets down to 6 before Ant comes back in the game. Remember, Ant sits the first 4+, usually a little bit longer than that. But the lead went from 12-6 pretty quickly, and Ant comes back in the game for the Wolves. But then it just continues. CJ McCollum hits a 3. Ant misses a rushed kind of pull-up 3. McCollum hits a shot on the other end. Now it's a tie game. The Wolves call a timeout. Immediately after the timeout, Jaden McDaniels gets blocked in the paint. Jordan Hawkins hits a 3 for the Pelicans, and they take a lead. And they basically, they lead the rest of the quarter. Like, the Wolves don't ever lead the rest of the quarter. They tie it a couple of times, and now the Wolves are down 1 at halftime. So they're -7 in the second quarter, down 1 at halftime. And that's when it really immediately felt like, okay, especially on the heels of the loss to a depleted Pacers team the other night, it felt like the Wolves were in trouble. Normally against a bad team, you're like, all right, they're going to wake up. They'll be fine. I didn't feel that way in this game. And there were moments where, they even had the lead with just a few minutes left in the game, but it never felt like this thing was the Pelicans extended their lead to 5 points to start the fourth quarter. And the Wolves finally got a lead back with 5 minutes to play. Minnesota even led. Let's see, when was their last lead? Actually, it was about with 5 minutes to play. They tied it with 1:49 on the clock. So this was a tie ball game with 1:49 left. They had a 1-point lead with 2:40 left in the game. But they just couldn't. The Pelicans, like, to their credit, and there's a little bit of the sorry, I said the Pacers game. No, it was the Pacers game. There's a little bit of that Pacers game where you have Obi Toppin going 7 for 10 on threes, and like Bruce Brown went 4 for 7 on threes. Like, that's not his game at this point. But Bruce Brown put up a 15, 7, and 6 with 4 made threes off the bench and was making clutch threes in this game. In fact, right after the Wolves took that 1-point lead with 2:40 left on the clock, Ant misses the second free throw. Bruce Brown hits a 3. Now the Pelicans are up 3. The Wolves tied it. They never were able to take a lead back. There was some bad fortune. There was the Kelly Olynyk, entry pass that got batted away and went right back to him that he knocks down at the end of the shot clock. There was some bad fortune in this game. The Pelicans shooting 45% from 3 was not on my bingo card. It's just not what you'd expect. That said, the Timberwolves had a billion opportunities down the stretch. Billion with the B. I don't think I'm really exaggerating that. To extend a lead, to get a lead, extend a lead, it didn't happen. I mentioned the Ant missed free throw. We can start there if you want, because the Wolves got a 1-point lead. And I just logged this as it was happening because I could see it unfolding before my eyes, as I'm sure you could as well. Ant gets to the line in a tie game with 3 minutes left, just under 3 minutes left. He makes the first end of the free throws, misses the second. Bruce Brown hits the 3. The Wolves are down 2. Wolves come down on the other end. Ant misses a layup, but Bruce Brown commits a foul on the rebound. The Wolves get it back, and Julius Randle's fouled on the after the rebound. He makes the first free throw, misses the second. Naz gets an offensive rebound. I think he beat Bruce Brown to the glass. Gets fouled by Zion Williamson in the paint on the offensive rebound attempt. He also splits a pair, makes the front end, misses the back end. So the Wolves get 6 free throw attempts from arguably their 3 best, their 3 best offensive players, Edwards, Randle, and Reid. They get 6 total free throw attempts in under a minute, and all 3 of them make the first and miss the second. So they go 3 for 6 at the line. If they make all 6, they have a 6-point lead. No, I'm sorry. Bruce Brown made a 3 in the middle. If they make all 6, they have a 3-point lead. Instead, they make 3, miss 3. They're still in a tie game. On the other end, Kelly Olynyk scores. Not enough resistance. Edwards misses a little bit of a wild layup on the other end. Teams go back and forth a little bit. And then, the very next possession is Naz's missed wide open 3-pointer from the left corner, down 2 with 46 seconds left. Wide open. A really good play by the Wolves to get him the open shot. He misses it. That was the final 2 minutes. What killed me, the final 2.5 minutes. But you could rewind a little bit further, and Naz missed a wide open layup with about 4 minutes left in a tie game. I believe Ant also missed an open-ish layup. Yeah, with about 3.5 minutes left, down 1, misses an open layup. Open's a strong word. A layup he should convert, right? Like not a through traffic, not getting pummeled, not getting fouled. The missed shots is what did it. Like, that's what did it down the stretch. The defense wasn't quite good enough, but the Pelicans were also out of their minds a little bit. And we have to acknowledge they're an NBA team. That can happen. But to counter that, you just have to be normal. The Wolves don't have to be superhuman. They're a more talented team. They're a better team. And they were generating mostly open shots. Ant at the rim, Naz at the rim, Naz from the 3-point line, and 3 missed free throws in the final 2.5 minutes. Those are all open shots that should be made. And if they make them, the Wolves win this game, full stop. I mean, that's it. That's the analysis here. They were actually getting those shots. They just missed them. And it's always, if it's not one thing, it's the other. The other, I mean, they didn't play hard enough in the first half, but I don't think it was to the level of the Pacers game. I thought there was effort. It's just, it was a bit of a flat start that was a bit too similar to some of the things we've seen. But again, if it's not one thing, it's the other. In this case, it was just they were getting the shots. The offensive flow it wasn't good early, but it wasn't bad in the second half. I thought it was decent. They just missed open shots. And sometimes that's what it is. It just hurts when the other team, because the other thing is if the Pelicans have a normal game for them and just don't shoot well, the Wolves still win this game. To lose a game like this, there has to be multiple factors that come together, conspire against you, if you will, to lose. The Pelicans got hot. The Wolves were cold, despite the flow being there. The Wolves didn't play hard enough early. And that was kind of the deal. in this one. I want to talk about a couple of other statistics coming out of this game, and then I want to give a rotation thought, and we'll do individual studs and duds. We'll do all that here next. Today's episode of Locked On Wolves is sponsored by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Today's episode is also brought to us by our friends at Game Time. There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. It's super easy to shop. You can check the Game Time app. There's always amazing deals on huge matchups, of course. Big college basketball right now. There's, of course, the stretch run of the NBA season, the start of baseball season. Game Time Picks even highlights super deals for you, giving you the best bang for your buck. And they give you peace of mind with seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, and a lowest price guarantee you could book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Okay. So one of the things the Wolves have been really good at lately, really on both ends of the floor, that they have not been good at the last couple times out, is rebounding. What does rebounding mostly come down to? Part of it is scheme, right? Like on the offensive glass, are you making an effort? And lately, yeah, I mean the Wolves have been, right? Like since January 1st, that's part of their game plan is offensive rebound. Defensive rebounding is almost strictly about effort. Obviously, there's some skill to positioning and understanding how the ball is going to come off the rim and making sure your box out technique when applicable, right? Like all those things matter. Well, guess what? The last couple times out, the Wolves have been miserable on the glass, which is in my view directly tied to their effort and lack thereof over the last couple of games. The Wolves are a -6 rebounding the basketball against the Pelicans in this game. They actually got out offensive rebounded by 2. Nobody on the Wolves had more than 2 offensive rebounds. And the Wolves offensively, I mean, they shot 36 free throws. They shot 41% on 39 attempts from 3, and they were just under 46% from the field, which isn't great considering those other numbers are so good. But it doesn't necessarily show up in their shooting percentages. The offensive flow was decent, but think about how many more opportunities there would have been had they been a little bit more aggressive on the offensive glass. And along with that, I would say both an offensive rebound, I think, is attributable to this, or they're tied together in some way. They were minus 18 points in the paint. The Pelicans won points in the paint, 54-36. And now I should point out the Wolves did attempt 36 free throws. So there were a lot of instances, especially late in the game, of Ant attacking the rim, or we talked about the Julius free throws, and Rudy got to the line a bunch in this game. At least I think he did. 6 free throw attempts. Nikhil had 7 free throw attempts. So the Wolves were actually trying to get to the rim. They were getting fouled, and they were getting to the line. And so that actually pulls away a little bit from points in the paint, because if you're fouled at the rim and you don't make the layup, but you make your free throws, of course, that doesn't count as points in the paint in the traditional box score. All that to say, they still were a minus 18 points in the paint, which means that they weren't doing it enough. They weren't converting through contact, and they were allowing the Pelicans to score in the paint. And I would say that rebounding is related. They gave up 11 offensive rebounds, 3 to Messi, 3 to Bruce Brown, 2 to a couple other guys. And they only had 6 themselves. Nobody had more than 2. You know who didn't have a single rebound in this game, offensive or defensive? Jaden McDaniels, who we've been lauding over the last few weeks for his work on the glass. I mean, just a complete reversion. I don't know, reverting to where he was earlier this season. Jaden McDaniels had not had below 7 rebounds in a game since the 9th, like 5 games ago. Jaden McDaniels has only had below 6 rebounds in a game before this one twice in the month of March. He had 3 against the Sixers back on the 4th. He had 4 against the Spurs on the 9th. He's had 6 or more rebounds in every other game in March. And you could go back further. He's actually had 6 or more rebounds in every game except for 2 since February 10th. So 6 weeks. This is only the 3rd game he's had 6 or less rebounds, and it's the only game he's had less than 4 in that entire stretch. Excuse me, less than 3. And he had 0. Tell me what that is if it's not just simply a lack of effort. And you know, I hate to call out one individual player for that. I'm not. It's the whole team. It's just that reflects it for the team. Is Jaden McDaniels putting up a goose egg and rebounding when he's been so good? He's also been a big piece of their offensive rebounding. Like, offensive rebounding has been a massive part of Jaden McDaniels. In fact, I just, on yesterday's show, lauded him for having more than twice as many offensive rebounds to this point in the season than he did all of last year. And he not only didn't grab an offensive rebound, but he didn't grab a rebound, period. And the team as a whole only had 9 offensive rebounds, and nobody had more than 2. For that matter, nobody had more than 9 rebounds as a team or as an individual. Rudy had 9. Nas and Dante DiVincenzo each had 7 off the bench. None from McDaniels, only 3 from Julius Randle. Like, that to me is kind of the missed shots late. I would, if the Wolves had made shots late and won this game, we'd still be talking about rebounding. I promise you that. But they would have won this game. So the missed shots late to me are the headline. The open missed corner 3 from Nas, the open, 3 minutes left in a tie game. Nas and Ant each miss shots in the paint. And then the missed 3 free throws on, like, essentially, like, in a 50-second span, missing 3 free throws as a team. That is the headline. The next, the subhead is Wolves get beat on the glass. Like, we're back to the Wolves getting beat on the glass. Because some of these teams, and the Pelicans obviously still have superstar level talent in Zion and a really good player in CJ McCollum and other good players too, and Alvarado and Olynyk. Like, they've got good guys. They've got a few good guys. But the Wolves should have won this game, like, hands down, right? But some of these inferior teams, the way they're going to win is if they've got a top-level talent like Zion that can have a really impressive game, and he did, 29 points and 16 shots, 8 assists, only 3 turnovers, really good, and or effort. The Pacers the other night, it was straight effort, and Obi Toppin having an otherworldly performance. There was not a player on the floor, especially after Nembhard's ejection, that was going to be better than what the Wolves had with Ant and Julius Randle and Rudy. The Pelicans played hard, maybe not as hard as the Pacers, but they played hard, and they had Zion Williamson. And the Wolves lost by 4. That's what happened. Other things that stood out, the Wolves actually didn't turn it over like crazy, which was nice. We talked about points to the paint. They only forced 13 Pelicans turnovers, which that should have been a higher number. I thought the defensive effort was there for stretches, like early second quarter when the Wolves built that lead. Late first, early second quarter, the Wolves, like that, this felt like it was going to be a blowout. And then all of a sudden, it's like they got spooked and played on their heels pretty much the rest of the game defensively. Really good to see them get 36 free throw attempts. They got the Pelicans in the penalty very early and often in seemingly every quarter. A rotation thing. Actually, let's do this. I'll hit that next right before I do studs and duds. I want to advocate for a bit of a tweak to the Timberwolves rotation. We'll do that here next. Today's episode of Locked On Wolves is brought to us by our friends at Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. You can find the right talent with Upwork. Maybe you need help with a marketing campaign. Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who has delivered incredible results and will do it for you. It's also super fast and easy to do the whole process. Posting a job is free and simple. Within a day, you'll have multiple qualified candidates to choose from. It's also just cost effective in terms of growth. Instead of hiring full time, Upwork can help you find affordable top-tier freelancers that will help you scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. That's Upwork.com, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right. Let's put a bow on this thing. A couple thoughts. One, rotation-wise. Just a note, the Timberwolves played TJ Shannon 1 minute at the end of the first quarter. That was his only minute of the game. He didn't record a stat. Jalen Clark played 12 minutes. And then just to kind of rattle off the bench numbers here, Nickeil played 21. Dante DiVincenzo played 24. Nas played 34. He also closed the game, ended up closing in place of Rudy down the stretch, and missed that open three, missed the free throw. Obviously, he's providing more on offense, or there's certainly more upside than what Rudy provides. Chris Finch was asked about it after the game, and he said, well, Rudy hadn't gotten a rebound for a while. We needed more big bodies. We needed a rebound, so we wanted the offense and the rebounding out there with Randle and Nas. Just didn't work out, right? My rotation note, Jalen Clark has to play more. I'm there, 100%. I understand that means less minutes for somebody else. And Mike Conley was really good in this game. He had 16 points, made 4 threes, was a big part of the Wolves offense, especially early in this game. Hit a big 3 in the fourth quarter. I get that. It's probably at the expense of Nickeil. Nickeil was 1 of 7 shooting in this game, 0 of 3 outside the arc for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And I know that Finch loves Alexander Walker. I know he's a very good defender. I know he's got more size than Jalen Clark. I know he's got a longer track record of making threes in big moments for the Wolves. I get all that, and I'm not saying like he shouldn't be in the rotation. Like this dude was playing 30+ minutes every night just a couple weeks ago when the Wolves had all those injuries. But like he's 0 for his last 6 from outside the arc. He hasn't made more than 1 3 in a game in 2 weeks. Jalen Clark, all he's doing is producing on both ends of the floor, frankly, in limited playing time. He's been awesome defensively the last couple nights. He pretty much single-handedly got the Wolves the lead back early in the fourth quarter against the Pacers on Monday before they ended up losing. He had 9 points in this game, 4 of 5 shooting, a couple of very impressive cuts to the basket and good passes. One by Rudy. I forget who the other one is. Maybe Ant was the other one. And you know, finishing in the paint, knocked down a corner 3, had another one that went in and out. Yes, it was the first 3 he'd made in a couple of weeks, but limited opportunities. And overall, the dude shot the 3 better than anyone expected. That was something we talked about on yesterday's show as well. 9 points in 12 minutes. 2 games ago, the blowout over Utah when he got to play more, 8 points in 17 minutes, 4 assists, 3 steals, and no turnovers. Jalen Clark hasn't had a turnover since March 4th. I understand that like playing time, like volume of minutes contributes to that, but he's never had more than 1 turnover in a game. And he has a couple games in there. He had a 32-minute performance, a couple 22, 24, 29-minute games. Like he's played some games with some minutes, doesn't turn the ball over, makes his corner 3s when he gets the opportunity, understands timing, spacing, cutting to the basket, finishes in the paint, is a lower usage offensive player, right? Like he can be like that game against Houston in February. He only played 19 minutes, had 17 points on 9 shots, made 4 threes in that game, got to the line, was 3 of 4 at the free throw line. Like, I don't know what you can do to keep this guy off the floor. Good things happen when he plays. If you want to just talk raw single game plus minus, which I normally don't like to do, this is a pretty good, I buy it for this one. Jalen Clark was a plus 12 in 12 minutes in this basketball game. Nickeil was a -1 in 21 minutes. And I'm not just like trying to dump on Nickeil here. Dante was also -5 in 24 minutes and didn't play great, but at least he had some level of activity in this game. And so did Nickeil, I guess. But DiVincenzo still just has more offensive upside. And when this team struggles offensively, which hasn't really been the problem against the Pacers and Pelicans, it's been more defensive effort on the glass, and then shot making late. And both these teams have played hard against the Wolves. Both these opponents have. But like Dante was fine. Nickeil was fine. They need Jalen Clark to play more. They just do. I don't care if it's less minutes for Conley, less minutes for Alexander Walker. I hope it's not less for DiVincenzo, but it probably just depends on the night. Chris Finch is going to have to make that difficult decision. That's why he's the head coach. And Jalen Clark's got to play more. Full stop. He just does. I don't know what more evidence we need. And I'm also open to that being somewhat matchup dependent. Sure, like that can matter, right? The matchups can play into this. Okay. Individual studs and duds. This is actually kind of tough for me because individually, not a lot of guys played outstanding. I'm going to give one to Jalen Clark. I thought he was the best player on the floor in 12 minutes. Super active defensively, only credited with 1 steal, a couple of foul calls that were fouls of aggression, not bad fouls, not putting the Pelicans at the line, on the perimeter, pressing up. He guarded Zion for a time. Really good game for Jalen Clark. A team best plus 12. No one else is better than a plus 6. Was legit really good in this game. 9 points, 2 rebounds, 4 of 5 shooting, 1 of 2 on threes, 1 steal. And again, a plus 12 for Jalen Clark. He deserves a stud in this game. I'm going to go Mike Conley. Mike Conley was good. 16 points on 6 of 8 shooting. Was actually aggressive. Turning the corner a couple of times, getting into the paint. Was early, scoring early in this game when the Wolves took that lead. 4 of 6 on threes. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, only 1 turnover. This was very much reminiscent of a Mike Conley game from last year. And we've seen a lot more of those over the past 2 months, certainly than we did early this season. And I think more than any of us expected to see come March. The Wolves have to keep him fresh. He's going to be a big part of this team down the stretch, which if you're worried about trusting Jalen Clark, trust him in regular, I know you got to get to the playoffs first, but trust him in some of these games where in theory you should be winning relatively easily against a team like the Pelicans. And then save some minutes for Mike Conley because you're not going to be more likely to go to Clark over Conley in the playoffs. Chris Finch isn't at least than you are now. So if there's ever a reason to do it, and I know Conley rested on the front end of the back-to-back last week, but it feels like now's the time to do something like that. Another stud for this one, again, difficult. I know Randle was efficient shooting. He turned it over 6 times. He only had 3 rebounds. I can't go that way. I think that's it. I really think that's it. I don't think Ant had a good game. I know he scored 29 on 19, which sounds fine. He was 4 of 10 shooting threes. He was 1 of 9 on 2s in this game. Yes, he got to the line 17 times. He was 1 of 9 on 2s, missed some big shots in the paint late. Wasn't aggressive early in the game getting into the paint. But again, he was late. Like he shot 10 threes, 9 2s. We'll take that shot distribution, especially if he gets to the line 17 times, because that means he was fouled a bunch of other times that don't count as field goal attempts because he got to the line, right? I thought the second half aggression for me, it was good. Like he's nearly a stud for me in this one. He's just got to make more 2s. He's got to make more shots in the paint. He's got to fight through the contact and score. Like he's the guy that has to be able to do this for the Wolves. And wasn't able to carry him offensively in this game down the stretch. Duds, I'm going to go with Jaden McDaniels. We talked about him already. 5 points on 4 shots in this game. No rebounds. 4 assists, 2 blocks. That's nice, but no rebounds. 4 fouls in 24 minutes. A bit of a reversion to, keep using that word. I don't think that's a real word. A bit of reverting to old Jaden in this game with lack of aggression on the glass, lack of aggression offensively, and too many fouls. Was a minus 13 in 24 minutes. I'm not going to give a dud to Julius Randle, but I have to mention the 6 turnovers. I have to mention only 3 rebounds in just 28 minutes and a minus 20 in this game, in a game they lost by 4. That is not a good number. 17 points on 10 shots. If you stop there, it sounds okay. But a minus 20 in 28 minutes and 6 turnovers is not a good showing for Julius Randle. I don't really have any other duds. Everybody else just kind of had a very mid game. Like Nikhil shot 1 of 7, but he did some other stuff well. He defended well. Dante, 4 of 9, but he had 7 rebounds. It was also active. Nas only shot 3 of 11, but he played a lot better than Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, and he still had 7 boards, 4 assists, and was on the floor for a reason down the stretch. Like this was a weird game. If they make those shots late, this is a different conversation. I probably would focus mostly on the rebounding issues and say, hey, look, they scratched it. They scratched out a game they should have lost, and they won. But instead, they missed those open shots late, and here we are. Okay. That's all I got for this one. And the Wolves, of course, play the Pelicans again on Friday. So I'm not going to do a whole lot in terms of previewing the game Friday. I may touch on a couple of keys coming out of this one leading into Friday night's game, but we'll cover some other topics on Friday. And, yet another winnable game for Minnesota. that they just cannot afford to kick away. They just can't keep doing this at this stage in the season. I mean, let's see. The Lakers beat Denver. Phoenix beat the Bulls. That barely matters, but they're not out of it completely. Memphis thankfully lost to Portland on Wednesday night. And then Dallas lost to the Pacers, which Dallas is kind of in the same boat as Phoenix, kind of lingering around the 10 spot. But the Clippers are playing better, which is a bit scary. The Warriors are obviously right there in front of the Wolves. So the Wolves have to get themselves together. Pelicans on Friday, good chance to do that. A tough road game at Indiana on Monday. And then they get 3 days off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off next week, before coming back home for a 2-game homestand to play Phoenix next Friday, an important winnable game. Detroit, an important winnable game, although a little more difficult on next Sunday, before the schedule toughens up a little bit more. You go at Denver, at Brooklyn, at Philly, at Milwaukee, at Memphis, a 5-game road trip. And Denver, Milwaukee, and Memphis in there are tough games, all kind of sandwiched around Brooklyn and Philadelphia, which of course are winnable games. But as we know, anything can happen with this team. And then they close at home with 2 very winnable games, Brooklyn and Utah. That's the rest of the season. We're there. That's it. There's 11 games left. All right, we'll be back on Friday. Of course, the Locked On Wolves postcast goes live after every game. It's the episode before this one in your audio feed, but they go live on YouTube after every single game. You can watch that on Friday night following Wolves Pelicans as well. A big thank you for making Locked On Wolves your first listen every single day. Of course, this show is free and available everywhere. That includes YouTube as well as all of your favorite audio platforms. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find Locked On Wolves. You can also watch on the Locked On Sports Minnesota app on both Roku and Amazon Fire TV. You can also subscribe to the daily newsletter at lockedondaily.com. It's an email newsletter. It's one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. Of course, the Locked On Wolves podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Remember, the Locked On Network is your local experts on all the biggest stories. Once again, I'm Ben Beecken. This is the Locked On Wolves podcast, and we'll catch you next time.